Hi, I'm Clio. Welcome to my channel. It has been a long time since I've uploaded, so thank you to those of you who have stuck around in the interim. I have been wanting to make a comeback for quite a long time, and I filmed a variety of things. Nothing quite felt right until the concept of a personal curriculum kind of became part of the social zeitgeist. I've been seeing a lot of content about it very recently, like just the past couple of days. And it aligns so perfectly with what I have been doing for myself and kind of wanting to share, but I wasn't really sure how. So it all just feels like such perfect timing. Today is actually my 29th birthday, and it has just made me even more reflective, specifically about working toward my goals and not getting in my own way anymore, because I know I've been doing that. And it's very frustrating, but I also don't want to be too hard on myself, and I definitely implore you to also reflect on your life's obstacles and maybe how you might be preventing yourself from reaching your full potential as well. But still being kind and gentle to yourself, because it's not going to help. Like, being mean, it's not going to benefit you in any way. If beating yourself up over things worked, don't you think you'd have achieved all of your dreams and goals and desires? But no, being mean to yourself kind of keeps you stuck. It's like a weird cycle, and we're all going to try to break out of that together and instead focus on learning new things, whether it's skills, history, philosophy, just expanding your mind. There are so many things in this world that we can learn about, and if you are lucky enough to have access to the internet, we've got it all right there at our fingertips, and it is definitely a tool that I know I do not take full advantage of. Something I certainly take for granted. And I also own a bookstore. And so if I don't feel like being on a screen, I have access to thousands of books that I can learn from. And even if you are not a bookseller yourself, you most likely have access to a library. So get yourself a library card. Go to used bookstores. You know, if you want to buy new, that's great, but try to support indie. That's a completely different tangent to go down. But that actually brings me to the point I wanted to make about how, since I started my bookseller, bookshop owner journey, if you will, I have also been thinking about how I would love to go back to school to study world literature. I want to be able to not only speak about a wider variety of books with my customers, but also connect even more deeply with the books that I'm reading, just being more knowledgeable about not only certain titles and authors, but also the time periods that they were first published, the impact that certain books had on history. It all just really fascinates me, and it's something that I have longed to learn about for a couple of years now, especially. But I knew that going back to school would make life a lot more challenging for me. Owning a business in and of itself is a huge job. I also want to make sure I have time to maintain my friendships and other personal relationships. I want to make sure I have time to genuinely just relax and enjoy my time at home, spend time with my husband and our dog, and be able to do day trips. And, so I really want to have a work-life balance. And I think introducing traditional schooling back into my schedule would be very overwhelming for me. I think it would just be a little too much for me to handle, and I think I would get incredibly burnt out. However, there are aspects of traditional schooling that I do really like and I know would help me stay consistent. So for example, setting deadlines for things, writing papers, even taking an occasional quiz or test, and being assigned certain projects. So what I'm doing is doing that for myself. One example is the book club that I host at my bookshop. This month we are reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. But what I want to do personally is do a little write-up every single month on the book book or the author of the book that we're reading, and then post that as a blog on our website. And so that means my due date would be the last day of each month. And I'm just really excited about that idea because it will help me understand and like reflect more on what I have read, as well as learning more about the author. And hopefully my book club members would also read it, and it would help them also connect more deeply with what we've all just read together. That is a really great, just like kind of built-in thing that I'm able to do for my personal curriculum. And okay, so I have a variety of notebooks. This is my morning pages notebook. Every morning I write at least 3 pages of whatever is on my mind, just stream of consciousness. This is actually a brand new composition notebook that I'm going to be using for my personal curriculum. I'm just going to be treating it as my school notebook, whether it's listening to lectures or taking notes on certain passages of what I've read, writing down new vocabulary words or phrases that I want to learn the meaning of and start incorporating into my everyday arsenal. And I just love a composition notebook. It's just the perfect notebook in my opinion. They're so affordable, and I think what I really like about them is that they don't feel so fancy that I'm nervous to mess them up. So I can really just take super messy notes. It just feels like such a great non-intimidating blank slate for me. If I have a really gorgeous notebook, chances are I will probably not use it because I'm scared to like ruin it, which I know is really silly, but it's like this mental block that I have. So composition notebooks are where it's at. And then this little guy is essentially my commonplace book. I just write anything and everything in here. I'm really trying to use this instead of pulling out my phone to look at stuff. So if I am wondering about a certain thing, instead of whipping out my phone and Googling it or whatever, I'll just write it in here and try to just have a natural conversation with someone about this whatever thing I'm wondering about and learn about the subject that way. I'll write down things that I want to look into in the future. So for example, I actually was writing about personal curriculum stuff in here for September and October, and some different plays and operas and symphonies that I want to go to, because I have a really wonderful performing arts center that I have local to me, and I really want to start taking advantage of it. Every time I go, I'm like, wow, this was such an amazing experience. I want to do this way more often. And so now it is my goal to go to 1 performance at least per month. And so other things in here, I've got chess. I got my husband a really nice handmade chessboard for Christmas, I believe last year, maybe the year before. And we were really good about playing most days for a while, and then it got kind of put on the back burner. And so I just want to reintroduce chess into our lives, if not daily lives, weekly. And I really just want to learn more strategies, but also just play for fun. I definitely also include my TBR as part of my personal curriculum. So for example, as I already mentioned, I'm reading Rebecca, and then I've got 2 other books that I really want to read this month. I've got Martyr by Kaveh Akbar, which I actually started last month, and it was really good, but I got distracted by other books that I was reading. So this one I really want to finish. And then Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I love this. It's so beautiful. I actually still need to read Babel as well. So I think that will be part of my October curriculum. And, you know, I was thinking of picking out way more books, but it is already the 10th. So I think these 3 are great for physical books. And then I also want to listen to 1 or 2 audiobooks. The one I have picked out for sure for this month is Educated. Oh, I'm blanking on the author at the moment. It's about a woman who grew up in rural Idaho, I believe. She nor her siblings had like a formal education at a public or private school or anything. They were homeschooled. Not dissing homeschool, but they were very much, as far as I know, essentially just prepping for the end of the world. Eventually, her older brother goes to college and tells her all about it, and she's like, wow, I need to get in on that and leave this world behind. And then she does. She goes to all these amazing schools, and then she wants to figure out how to balance her roots and where she came from, what she learned back then, versus what she learned and experienced at these fancy universities. It just sounds like such an incredible story. It's a true story. I think it'll be a really great audiobook for the reintroduction of self-education as well. I think it just fits so perfectly. So I'm very excited about that. That's my TBR for September. And then I also have 3 different art forms that I want to just experiment with. I'm finally getting back into painting. I really love working with acrylics right now. I stumbled across a YouTube video that just had really nice classical music over just one image of this beautiful painting. And my husband saw it and was like, you know, I bet you could paint something like that if you tried. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try. And so I have this painting that I've been working on. It's just a study of that same one. Certainly not going to try to sell it as an original or anything, but it's just a great way to learn. And it's just been so much fun. I'm really glad I'm getting back into it because it's so relaxing. And for whatever reason, painting feels less stressful to me than drawing, although I know the old saying goes that if you can't draw, you can't paint. But I think a good middle ground between the two would be oil pastels. So I am going to also be playing around with those a lot more. I have some really nice Sennelier oil pastels that are like butter. They're so wonderful to paint / draw with, whatever you want to call it. Since it's my birthday, my husband also gifted me some new oil sticks. Let me show you. So here they are. These are the R and F drawing oils. They're new. My husband works at an art supply store, so we are so lucky we get kind of first access often to a lot of new products. And these apparently are even softer than the Sennelier oil pastels. I'm so excited to try them. He also got me some really nice white acrylic paint because I'm running low, and I have like a cheaper bottle, so I'm excited to try the nicer version. And he also gifted me this wonderful pastel sketchbook. So between each page is like this wax paper. And I think that was something that was really keeping me from using my pastels for a while, was that I was just using a regular like multimedia sketchbook, and the grease, you know, would just get imprinted onto the other pages. And so I really needed a pastel specific book. So now I've got that. I'm so excited to use those. Oh, I signed up for a ceramics class with a close friend of mine, and classes begin at the end of this month. It's a 6-week course, and it is actually specifically for making bakeware that we can use. So I'll end up with at least one good baking dish out of it, hopefully. That same pottery studio also has a 6-week course for tableware, which I would love. So after the baking dish one, I might sign up for the tableware course. Painting, oil pastels, ceramics. So those are the 3 art forms that I'm going to be working with this month and probably well into October as well. I think I'm just gonna kind of stick with those most likely for the rest of the year, because I want to be good about sticking with things consistently for a while. If I end up truly hating any of them after a while, I'll stop, but I don't see that happening. However, that does bring me to just a quick point I want to make about allowing yourself to come up with this personal curriculum, but also being okay with quitting any of it and then restructuring again. You definitely have the freedom and the right to do that. It is totally fine, and I need to be good about that myself, because it's okay to just play around. And that's the beauty of a personal curriculum, is that you aren't enrolled in all of these very expensive university courses that you have to stick with for a grade. You're free to just explore and play and have fun with it. So definitely just allow yourself to try a variety of things and be okay with realizing that some of those things aren't going to be for you, and that you can then move on to something new. I also really want to start learning French again. When I was in college, I took some French courses and I really enjoyed it. I think it's such a beautiful language. I love watching French cinema. I'm a big fan of French New Wave films. I also tend to really enjoy French literature. Of course, I read it translated in English. I'm not quite there yet where I can read it in French, but I would love to get to that point. I also definitely just want to go to France someday. That country has always really called to me. I love the culture. I love just learning about the culture. I read so many books about it. It's just such a dream of mine to travel there and stay there for maybe quite a while someday. And I would, of course, want to speak the language at least relatively fluently so that I can chat with locals. Knowing the language of whatever country you're going to helps you become just as immersed as you possibly can be in the culture, and I think that is just such a wonderful thing to be able to do. So for that, I'm most likely going to be using Rosetta Stone, and then I also have my old French textbook from when I was taking the course in college. And then last but not least is physical fitness. I am learning a lot about my health in general. I just started meeting with my friend who is also a holistic doctor. I got like a new supplement routine, and I've just been learning so much from her already about all of the new things that I can integrate as well as remove from my life, even temporarily, just to work toward optimal health. So that is another really great thing that I'm just learning anyway. But off of that, I love going on walks with my dog. I just want to start doing that a lot more often. My husband is really good about walking her and going on like really long walks with her, whereas sometimes I just like do not have the energy or I do not feel well enough to do like a long walk. But I'm going to start going on more adventures with her, and it'll be good for both of us. That's one. And then also I'd like to start going back to the gym more frequently. I already am paying for a membership, so I really need to just utilize that. I actually do have one more thing, and it's pretty cool. I learned very recently that you can audit courses for free through Harvard. Not everything they have available, but they have quite a few classes online that you can sign up for through edX. I'll link it down below in the description box. I know Yale and Princeton and a bunch of Ivy Leagues and other just really great schools do a similar thing. A lot of them are through Coursera though, which as far as I know, you do have to pay a monthly subscription fee for. And I may end up doing that someday in the future, but I think for the time being, I'm going to stick with the free ones through Harvard. And given that I wanted to study world literature, they have some really great literature courses. So I've just signed up for one. I'm going to do one a month because I've already got a lot of different things that I'm going to play around with and read and everything. So I think sticking to one, or if not one a month, just like one per however long the course is expected to go. So I think a lot of them are 6 to 8 weeks. So probably more like one every other month-ish. So the first one I've signed up for is Masterpieces of World Literature. And then to do more of a deep dive, they also have Masterpieces of Ancient World Literature. I'm going to look it up real quick just so I make sure I share the correct information with you. Yeah, Ancient Masterpieces of World Literature. And they also have a Modern Masterpieces of World Literature. So I'll be doing all three of those, but just starting off with the more general one. So I'm going to show you via screen recording now what it looks like. And then, of course, I will link it below. So it looks like it's actually only available until March 11th of 2026. So if this intrigues you, sign up before then. It is free and fully online. What you'll learn in this course specifically is the history of world literature, how literary works and books are transformed by cultural transmission, how to critically analyze literary works, and the significance of major technological advances in writing. Time commitment, they say 5 to 7 hours per week, self-paced, you can audit it for free, or if you really want a certificate, it's like $300. They also have that course outline and this list of all the different things that we are going to cover in the course. Some of these I haven't even heard of, which seems absolutely crazy. I think of myself as someone that is very familiar with classic literature, but it's primarily Western because that's just what we learn about in the United States for the most part. Very, very eager to learn more about works from all over the world. Okay, and then once you actually sign up, you can select your weekly learning goal. So I am going to sign up currently as a casual learner, I'll work on this 1 day a week. You can do 3 days or even 5 days a week as your goal. So that's all regarding those free online courses. I just think it's such an incredible resource for those of us who still do want some sort of structure, but not have to worry about deadlines aside from like when the course ends and getting grades. That was a big stressor for me, is that I always wanted to be a straight A student, but I also felt like I didn't have enough like freedom within the framework of the classes to like really get the most out of them, if that makes sense. So now I'm able to do that for myself, and I'm very excited about it. For future curriculums, I absolutely want to integrate more history, philosophy, music, but for now, I think I've got enough that I kind of have signed myself up for. That is all for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'm so excited to be back on YouTube, as well as continuing my education. I like the idea of doing monthly kind of review sessions via YouTube video like this, where I just kind of walk you through what I've done and then tell you the plan for the following month / curriculum, depending on how frequently I do this. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it once a month, or if I do want to stick with more of like a 6 to 8 week course in my head. So it may be, as I said, every other month or something like that. But let me know if that sounds like something you would be interested in watching, what in the meantime you would like me to share more about, if it's anything I mentioned in this video, or if you have any questions in general for me, or video requests. And I would also love to hear what you are doing for your personal curriculum, if it's something you are doing. I always get inspired by other people's plans, so I would just so love to hear about what you are learning about, what you're practicing, what you're reading, any and all of that. So please fill me in the comments. I will see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more content like this from me. Okay, thank you. Bye.